One sentence can rewire your whole life in 24 hours. Not a mantra, not a wish, but a law spoken with authority. Most people let the same tired words play over and over, and they wonder why nothing changes. But if you'll say this one sentence tonight, tomorrow you'll begin to see proof that the universe has shifted. In this session, you'll discover the single most powerful sentence Florence Scovel Shinn ever taught, the sentence that demolishes fear, cancels old patterns, and writes prosperity into your life within hours. You won't just hear it, you'll practice it with me until it's carved into your subconscious. If you've tried affirmations that felt weak, if you've spoken words that never seemed to land, this will be different. This is not suggestion, it is law. By the end of this message, you will know how to command your life with a single word. I know what it's like to feel stuck, to repeat prayers, to read the books, to try every technique, and still wonder why nothing is moving. Maybe you've said 100 affirmations, but in the secret places of your mind, the same old record of fear and lack keeps playing. That's why nothing changes. You're saying new words on the surface, but the old record is still spinning underneath. Florence Scovel Shinn discovered how to smash that record with one sentence, one decree that clears the subconscious instantly and replaces it with truth. Tonight, I'll show you how. You'll hear real stories of people who use this and watch their whole life change. Money appearing, health restored, doors opening, and you'll be guided into using it for yourself. Here's how we'll move together. First, I'll reveal the sentence itself, the exact words Florence used to demolish old patterns and command new ones. Then we'll go into the deeper principles, why it works, how it erases subconscious fear, and how to use it to call in money, love, health, and opportunity in less than a day. I'll give you examples from real lives, people who proved it, and I'll walk you through speaking it aloud until it's not just words, but power. Along the way, I'll open loops into truths that may shock you, like why most affirmations fail, why joking about lack is more dangerous than you know, and how one wrong sentence can undo months of prayer. Stay with me, because the longer you listen, the deeper this sentence will engrave itself into your being. By the end, it won't just be knowledge, it will be a living record inside you. You will leave this session reprogrammed, rewired, and ready to demonstrate prosperity within 24 hours. Here's something most people completely miss. Every word you speak is a decree, not a wish, not a suggestion, not a possibility, a decree. Your tongue is the pen, and your subconscious is the record keeper, engraving everything you say as law and then playing it back into your life. Think of it. You are walking through a world that is nothing more than the echo of your own words. That's why so many people feel trapped. They beg God for a new song, but they keep playing the same old record. They pray for change, but the words coming out of their mouths contradict every prayer. You cannot speak lack all day and expect prosperity tomorrow. You cannot rehearse fear every hour and expect faith to carry you through the night. You cannot mutter defeat in conversation and then be surprised when defeat shows up at your door. The law is exact. The law is no respecter of persons. By your words you are justified, and by your words you are condemned. Now, I want you to picture this clearly. Imagine a phonograph spinning an old record. The tune may be sad, it may be discordant, it may be something you've outgrown, but as long as that record spins, the music fills the room. That's your life. Your subconscious is the phonograph. Every phrase you've spoken, every joke, every complaint, every declaration of fear, those words cut grooves into the record, and your life is nothing more than the song playing back. Some of you are still listening to a record you cut years ago, a record of I never have enough, a record of nobody loves me, a record of I'm always unlucky, and you wonder why the melody never changes. It's because the grooves are still there. Let me tell you a story that proves this law in action. A woman once amused herself as a child by pretending she lived in a trunk. It was just a game. She would climb into closets, laugh, and say, "This is my trunk. I live here." Everyone around her laughed. They thought it was innocent play. But the subconscious does not laugh. The subconscious does not say, "Oh, she's only pretending." The subconscious takes every word as fact and files it as law. And what happened? Years later, after she had grown, after she had married, after she had tasted comfort, her husband died. Her fortune slipped away, and she found herself traveling the world, literally living out of a trunk. Do you see? The joke had become the record. The record had become the life. Now pause and think of yourself. What jokes have you repeated without thought? What phrases come out of your mouth when you're tired, when you're angry, when you're careless? Do you sigh, "I can't afford it"? Do you say, "Nothing ever works for me"? Do you laugh and tell people, "Just my luck, things always go wrong"? Beloved, those words are cutting grooves. Those grooves are becoming records. Those records are playing into your affairs. And until you smash them, until you replace them, you will hear the same song over and over. This is why I say, the one sentence I'm about to teach you can transform everything in 24 hours. Because the moment you speak it with faith, the old record begins to break. The grooves of fear are erased, the false decrees dissolve, and a new record is impressed, a record of truth, of health, of wealth, of love, of perfect self-expression. And once that record is cut, it must play. It must play. It must play. So let's speak the first part together as a test of your authority. Say it aloud. I now break every false record. I speak only words of life and wealth. Say it again, not as a whisper, not as a suggestion, but as a decree. Let your subconscious hear it. Let the old grooves crack under the weight of your authority. I now break every false record. I speak only words of life and wealth. That's powerful enough on its own. But combine it with what I'm about to show you next, and you'll understand why careless words can destroy a fortune, why thoughtless phrases can imprison a soul, and why this one sentence has the power to erase it all. For now, we will look at the false records that play in the lives of so many, and how they must be demolished. Now that you see how every word is law and how the subconscious plays those words back as a record, we must turn our eyes to the most dangerous part of the whole game, the false record. Because it is not always the great tragedies that hold you bound, not always the deep wounds, not always the obvious curses. Most often, it is the little phrases, the casual jokes, the careless remarks that repeat themselves until they cut grooves into your subconscious. These are the false records, the lies you have unknowingly rehearsed until they have become the background music of your life. They whisper, they hum, they play on repeat, and you have grown so used to hearing them that you mistake them for truth. But they are not truth. They are false grooves. They are only appearances, and until you smash them, they will dictate the rhythm of your affairs. Let me tell you the story of a woman who seemed to have everything. She was wealthy, comfortable, admired. On the outside, her life looked like prosperity itself. But she had a strange little habit. Whenever she faced an inconvenience or spoke of the future, she would sigh and say, half in jest, "Well, I suppose I'm just getting ready for the poorhouse." She said it so often that it became her refrain. Her friends laughed at it. She even laughed at it herself. But her subconscious did not laugh. Her subconscious recorded every word. And what happened? Slowly, her fortune crumbled. Investments failed. Channels dried up. Until at last, she found herself on the brink of poverty, the very poorhouse she had joked herself into. Do you see? The subconscious takes no account of humor. It does not say, "She was only joking." It simply plays the record it was given. And this is what I want you to realize. Every time you say, "I'm broke," you are cutting a groove. Every time you say, "Nothing works out for me," you are cutting a groove. Every time you say, "I never have enough," you are cutting a groove. And the subconscious is playing those grooves right now, orchestrating circumstances to echo your decree. That is why some people feel like they live under a curse. It is not a curse from outside, it is a false record from within, and as long as it spins, no amount of wishing or hoping can silence it. Now imagine your life as a great orchestra. Truth is meant to be the conductor, guiding every instrument in harmony, producing music of health, wealth, love, joy. But the false record is like a warped instrument, blaring off key, drowning out the melody, turning the song into confusion. You may have moments of beauty, bursts of harmony, but as long as that one instrument plays its false note, the whole song is marred. And that is how so many live, carrying a false record of lack, of sickness, of loneliness, repeating its refrain until it dominates their life. But here is the freedom. You are not bound to keep listening to it. You do not have to carry the false record one day longer. The moment you recognize it for what it is, the moment you stop excusing it, the moment you say, "This is not truth, this is only appearance," you are already beginning to smash it. The one sentence I will give you in this message is the hammer that breaks it for good. But first, you must be honest with yourself. What false records are playing in your life right now? Is it the record of "I'm always unlucky"? Is it the record of "I'm too old"? Is it the record of "I never get ahead"? Or is it the record of fear, whispering, "What if I fail? What if I lose everything? What if I end up alone?" Identify it. Name it. Because once named, it can be smashed. And let us affirm together right now, as the first swing of the hammer, every false record in my subconscious is now broken. They were never true. They are dissolved, erased, and returned to nothingness. Only the record of divine truth remains. Say it until you feel it. Say it until the weight of the lie begins to lift. Say it until your mind begins to quiet, like a room after the needle has been lifted from the spinning record. This is why the one sentence I am giving you tonight works so quickly. It is not because it is magical words. It is because it erases the false record before inscribing the new one. It smashes the lie before writing the truth. And once the lie is gone, the truth flows in like light rushing into a room where the curtains have been torn down. And that is where we go next, into the sentence itself, the decree that demolishes the old record and engraves the new one, the words that can transform your whole life in 24 hours. And now we come to the very heart of the matter, the one sentence that carries within it the hammer to shatter every false record and the chisel to inscribe every new truth. You have seen how words are law, how every careless phrase is recorded, how false records repeat themselves until they shape your affairs. You have seen how even jokes and sighs and casual complaints can become grooves in the subconscious, grooves that play again and again until your life itself is nothing more than their echo. And you have seen how destructive these false records can be, dragging down fortunes, dissolving health, poisoning love, and chaining the soul in patterns it cannot seem to escape. But here is the mercy of divine law. One sentence can erase it all. One decree can smash the grooves, lift the needle, and return the false record to the nothingness from which it came. For a lie has no permanence. A falsehood has no root. It only has the power you give it by repeating it. Withdraw your agreement, declare its nothingness, and it collapses like dust. Florence Scovel Shinn gave us the exact words, and I will speak them into you now. Listen with your whole being, because these words are not suggestion, they are not wishful thinking, they are not hopeful affirmations. They are law, and when you say them with faith, your subconscious cannot resist. Here is the decree. I now smash and demolish every untrue record in my subconscious mind. They return to the dust of nothingness, for they were never true. I now make new and perfect records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. Say it aloud with me now, not timidly, not as if you are hoping, but as if you are declaring law to the universe. I now smash and demolish every untrue record in my subconscious mind. They return to the dust of nothingness, for they were never true. I now make new and perfect records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. Feel the weight of those words. Feel them cracking the old grooves, silencing the old music, sweeping away the tired refrain of lack and fear. Feel the fresh air of truth rushing in to fill the silence. Now, some of you may already feel a release, like a weight lifting, like a burden dissolving. That is the old record being broken. Do not be surprised if in the hours to come you feel a shift inside, a sense that something has changed even before you see the outer results. Because when the subconscious receives a new decree, it goes to work instantly, reshaping, reordering, reprogramming. The outer demonstration follows, but the inner shift is immediate, and within 24 hours, signs will begin to appear, synchronicities, little proofs, sudden openings that confirm the record has changed. Understand this. The sentence works because it does two things at once. It smashes the lie and replaces it with truth. It does not merely try to paste new affirmations over old grooves. That is why so many affirmations fail, because people are trying to sing a new song while the old record is still spinning beneath. But this decree silences the old before writing the new. It clears the slate before engraving the truth. That is why it works so quickly, so powerfully, so irresistibly. So let us speak it one more time, with rhythm, with authority, with finality. I now smash and demolish every untrue record in my subconscious mind. They return to the dust of nothingness, for they were never true. I now make new and perfect records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. Say it until you feel the vibration change, until the words no longer sound like effort but like truth. Say it until your spirit rises to meet them. Say it until you know that the old record is gone and the new one has begun to play. This is the one sentence that transforms everything in 24 hours, because once spoken with faith, the old is gone and the new is here. And now that you have heard it, spoken it, and felt its power, you are ready to understand why this sentence succeeds where so many affirmations fail, why it breaks through in a way that wishful repetition never could. And that is what we will uncover in the next section. The difference between mere wishful thinking and the law that never fails. Now that you have spoken the one sentence and felt its force, it's time to understand why so many affirmations do not work, why countless people repeat phrases day and night, and yet nothing shifts, why they grow weary of spiritual practice and say, "This does not work for me." The reason is simple, though hidden from most. They are still speaking about appearances. They look at the visible world, the empty purse, the overdue bill, the pain in the body, the silence of the phone, and they rehearse what they see instead of declaring what is true. And the subconscious, faithful and exact, records their words and plays them back into form. This is why Florence warned so often that you must never voice lack, never joke about poverty, never repeat words of fear, because every appearance you describe engraves itself upon your record. Let me show you this through a story. A wealthy woman I once knew had everything money could buy: houses, jewels, furs, fine living. Yet she had a strange habit, almost unconscious. Whenever the subject of the future arose, she would sigh and say, "I suppose I'm just getting ready for the poorhouse." It was a joke to her, a dark humor she repeated with a laugh. But the subconscious does not laugh. It takes no account of irony. It does not say, "She doesn't mean it." It only says, "This is the decree." And so it recorded her words, and little by little her fortune crumbled until she lost it all. What had happened? She had been affirming appearances, affirming lack, cutting grooves of poverty while surrounded by wealth, and the grooves eventually played into reality. This is the danger most people live under. They speak what they see instead of what they desire. They describe their life as it appears instead of declaring their life as it is in spirit. They say, "I am broke," and the subconscious plays it back. They say, I am sick, and the body obeys. They say, nothing ever works out for me, and so the circumstances line up to prove them right. They let the visible world write the script of their invisible record, and then they wonder why the music never changes. But here is the secret. Appearances are the past. They are the harvest of old words, old thoughts, old seeds. They are not the truth. They are not the law. They are shadows, not substance. If you affirm the shadow, you keep it alive. If you affirm the truth, the shadow dissolves. So let me ask you, how often do you speak about appearances? How often do you complain about your bills, your job, your health, your relationships? How often do you describe the world as it looks, instead of declaring it as it is in divine law? Every complaint is an affirmation. Every description of lack is an affirmation. Every time you give voice to appearances, you plant the same seed again. And then you wonder why the harvest does not change. But when you begin to speak only truth, when you refuse to describe lack and insist on declaring supply, when you refuse to describe sickness and insist on declaring health, when you refuse to describe loneliness and insist on declaring love, then you plant a new seed, cut a new groove, play a new record, and the harvest must follow. This is why the one sentence I gave you is so powerful. It smashes the old records of appearances and replaces them with truth. It refuses to let the visible world write the decree. It says, no, appearances are not law. God is law. Truth is law. I am health. I am wealth. I am love. I am perfect self-expression. That is why it works where other affirmations fail. Because most affirmations are spoken on top of appearances, but this one erases appearances first and then inscribes truth. So let us practice it again, this time with the awareness of appearances dissolved. I now smash and demolish every untrue record in my subconscious mind. They return to the dust of nothingness, for they were never true. I now make new and perfect records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. Speak it and see the appearances vanish. Speak it and feel the truth take their place. Speak it until you believe more in the invisible law than in the visible shadow. This is the first reason most affirmations fail. They are spoken while the false record is still spinning. But once you stop affirming appearances, once you refuse to give them your voice, you are ready to understand the second reason affirmations fail. And it is even more subtle. The canceling effect, where one careless word can undo 100 affirmations. And that is what we will look at next. Now that you see how affirmations are sabotaged when they are spoken about appearances, let me take you deeper into the second reason why so many fail. It is what I call the canceling effect. And here is how it works. You may spend hours, days, even months repeating affirmations of truth, planting seeds of prosperity, declaring health, speaking love, and then in one careless moment, you cancel it all with a contradictory word. The subconscious is not impressed by effort, by volume, by length of practice. It is impressed by authority, by consistency, by law. If you affirm, God is my supply, I am prospered now, but then you turn around and sigh, I'll never be able to pay this bill, the subconscious receives both records and plays them both back. The result? Confusion, delay, half-demonstrations, frustrations that make you wonder why nothing seems to stick. This is why so many people say to me, Florence, I've said my affirmations for weeks, but nothing is happening. And when I listen closely, I always find the contradiction. They are affirming truth one moment and canceling it with a falsehood the next. They say, God is my supply, but then they say, I can't afford it. They say, I am divinely protected, but then they talk endlessly of their fears. They say, I am loved, but then they complain that no one cares. And the subconscious, like a faithful phonograph, records it all, cutting grooves of both truth and falsehood, playing them back in tangled harmony, producing a life that feels stuck between two worlds. Let me give you a picture. Imagine a phonograph playing a song. You want to hear a melody of joy, so you put on a beautiful record. But halfway through, you place another record on top with a discordant tune. Both try to play at once. The result is noise, confusion, chaos. That is exactly what happens when you affirm truth and then contradict it with careless words. The subconscious plays both, and the outer life becomes static, disharmony, unfinished demonstrations. One woman I knew had a habit of affirming prosperity in the morning. She would say, "God is my supply. Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways." But as soon as she saw a bill, she would groan, "I'll never be able to pay this." Do you see what she did? In the morning, she planted a seed of wealth. By noon, she had pulled it up. By night, she planted it again. And then she wondered why nothing grew. It wasn't that the seed was powerless. It was that she kept canceling it. This is why I say one sentence spoken with authority, believed and repeated without contradiction, is more powerful than 1,000 affirmations spoken carelessly. The law is exact. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot speak truth and falsehood and expect truth to dominate. You must speak truth only, stand on it, refuse to contradict it, until the subconscious has no record left to play but the one you have given it. So I ask you, how many of your affirmations have you canceled? How many times have you spoken prosperity, then joked about poverty? How many times have you affirmed health, then repeated stories of sickness? How many times have you declared love, then muttered bitterness? Until you become consistent, until you refuse to let careless words undo your decrees, your demonstrations will be delayed. But the moment you resolve to stop canceling yourself, the moment you choose to let every word agree with truth, the moment you put away contradiction, the law will move swiftly and surely, for there will be nothing left to block it. So let us declare it together as a vow of consistency. I refuse to cancel my good. I refuse to contradict my decrees. Every word I speak agrees with divine law. Every word I speak builds my prosperity, my health, my love, my success. I do not undo my prayers. I do not contradict my faith. I speak only truth, and truth alone is fulfilled. Say it aloud until you feel the strength of it. Say it until you feel the edges of your speech sharpening, until you know that even your casual words carry weight, until you sense the seriousness of your tongue as the key to your whole destiny. This is the second reason affirmations fail, because they are canceled by contradiction. But once you stop canceling, once you align all your words with truth, then even a single sentence spoken in faith can rewrite your whole life. And that is where we must go next, into the deepest secret of all, the law of faith itself. For without faith, the words are hollow, but with faith, the words move mountains. And that is what we will uncover now. Now that you understand how appearances deceive and how careless words cancel the very affirmations you are trying to plant, we arrive at the final and most important key of all, faith. For without faith, the words are hollow. Without faith, the decrees are empty. Without faith, you may repeat the right sentence 1,000 times, but your subconscious will not take it seriously, because it listens not only to your words, but to the vibration beneath them. And if the vibration is fear, if the vibration is doubt, if the vibration is desperation, then the words are powerless. But if the vibration is faith, calm, steady, confident, assured, then even one sentence spoken once can transform everything in 24 hours. For faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith is the fire that gives life to the word. You must see this clearly. Many people approach affirmations like beggars knocking at a closed door. They repeat the words, but inside they tremble. They say, "God is my supply," but in their hearts they whisper, "I hope this works, because if it doesn't, I'm ruined." They say, "I am healed," but in their minds they feel the pain and think, It's still here. They say, I am loved, but their hearts mutter, I am still alone. Do you see the contradiction? The lips say one thing, the inner vibration says another, and the subconscious, which always listens to the dominant vibration, obeys the fear instead of the word. This is why Jesus said, When ye pray, believe that ye receive, and ye shall have. He did not say, When ye pray, hope that ye receive. He said, Believe, because faith is the bridge between the word and the demonstration. Let me tell you how this looks in practice. A woman once came to me with a desperate need. She was facing a lawsuit of several $1,000s. Her reasoning mind trembled, her family despaired, her friends told her there was no way out, but she refused to let fear dominate. She affirmed, God is my supply, and I see this lawsuit dissolved in divine order. She said it, not as a question, not as a wish, but as a decree. And within days the entire matter was settled, money appeared from an unexpected channel, and what looked like certain disaster vanished like a shadow at dawn. It was not the length of her affirmation that made the difference. It was her faith. She believed. She refused to cancel it with fear. She refused to speak appearances. She stood on the word as law, and the law fulfilled itself. Now I must ask you plainly, when you affirm, do you believe, or do you only hope? Hope is fragile. Hope waits. Hope hesitates. But faith declares, faith knows, faith speaks as if the thing were already done, and because it is already done in spirit, the outer must follow. That is the law. This is why the one sentence works so quickly when spoken in faith, because faith engraves it deep into the subconscious at once, while doubt scratches only on the surface. So how do you strengthen your faith? By practice. By speaking the word and then refusing to look at appearances. By affirming and then acting as if it were already so. By saying, my purse is full, and then walking through the day with the poise of one who knows it. By saying, I am healed, and then moving with the confidence of health. By saying, I am loved, and then behaving as though love surrounds you already. Faith is not a feeling, it is a decision. You choose to believe, and when you choose, the feelings will follow. So let us speak it now, not as beggars, not as doubters, but as masters of divine law. I now smash and demolish every untrue record in my subconscious mind. They return to the dust of nothingness, for they were never true. I now make new and perfect records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. Say it with faith. Say it as if it is already so. Say it as law that cannot be broken, and watch how swiftly your life begins to obey. This is the final reason affirmations fail, because they are spoken without faith. But once you refuse appearances, once you stop canceling your words, and once you speak with faith, then one sentence is enough. And that is why I say, you can transform everything in 24 hours. Because faith ignites the word, and the word reshapes the record instantly. And now that you understand this, you are ready for proof, real demonstrations of this law in action, in money, in health, and in love. And that is where we go next. Now that you understand how the sentence works, why it smashes false records, why it cancels contradictions, why it only succeeds when spoken in faith, it is time to see it in action. Because the law is not meant to remain as abstract theory. It is meant to demonstrate. Truth not demonstrated is truth not believed, and Florence Scovel Shinn's whole ministry was proof after proof, life after life, transformed by the spoken word. Let us begin with the most urgent subject for so many: money. For I know there are some listening right now with bills pressing, with debt looming, with worry gnawing at the back of the mind. And I tell you, with absolute certainty, money is the easiest thing for spirit to demonstrate, because money is nothing but a symbol of supply, and supply is God Himself, unfailing, inexhaustible, infinite. Let me give you a story. One of the clearest proofs of this law. A woman once came to me with only $8 left in her purse. She was at the end of her resources, the end of her strength, the end of her hope. Reason said she was finished. Appearances said lack. Every friend and relative told her to give up, to resign herself, to shrink her life to fit her poverty. But she refused. She said, "Florence, I will not accept this as the final word. Show me the decree." And I gave her the words, "God is my unfailing supply, and large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways." She took those words not as suggestion, but as law. She carried them with her, repeated them, stamped them into her subconscious with every breath. And within days, she received thousands of dollars through channels she could never have imagined. The $8 became seed, and the harvest was swift. Now some will say, that is impossible. That is coincidence. That is luck. But there is no such thing as luck in divine law. There is only cause and effect, word and demonstration, seed and harvest. The cause was her decree. The effect was her supply. And because she spoke it with faith, without contradiction, without rehearsing appearances, the demonstration had no choice but to appear. But let me give you another story, to show you the other side. A woman of wealth, surrounded by abundance, began to repeat in jest that she was getting ready for the poorhouse. She said it over and over, laughing. The subconscious did not laugh. It recorded the decree. And what happened? Slowly, inevitably, her fortune dissolved, and she found herself in straits she had never dreamed of. The poorhouse she had joked into existence became her reality. Do you see? The word was the cause. The life was the effect. The law was exact. Now, here is what I want you to see. The sentence you have spoken, I now smash and demolish every untrue record in my subconscious mind. They return to the dust of nothingness, for they were never true. I now make new and perfect records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. This sentence has already broken the false grooves of poverty, the lies of lack, the jokes of despair. Now you must replace them with a new decree of supply. Speak this with me now. God is my unfailing supply, and large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. Say it again until the vibration of lack has been erased from your body, until you feel money itself turning toward you, until your fear has melted into faith. And here is the marvel. You will not wait years to see proof. Within 24 hours, signs will begin to appear. Unexpected checks, small gifts, sudden opportunities, synchronicities that make you pause and say, "This is it, the law is working." That is the evidence of the new record beginning to play. And the more you bless it, the more you affirm it, the more you expect it, the larger the demonstration will grow, until lack itself has no place left in your life. Money is not your master. Money is your servant, and the decree is the command. When you smash the false record of poverty and inscribe the new record of abundance, money obeys. It comes, it multiplies, it flows. That is the law. And now that you have seen it in the realm of supply, let us look at another area where the sentence proves itself with equal force: health. For just as words of lack produce poverty, words of fear produce sickness. But words of truth can inscribe a new record of health, and the body must obey. And now, having seen the law at work in the realm of money, let us turn to another area where people suffer under false records: the body. For just as surely as careless words can carve grooves of lack into your finances, they can carve grooves of sickness into your flesh. The body is but a servant of the subconscious, a living record of what has been spoken and believed. If the subconscious has been filled with decrees of fear, of frailty, of decline, then the body must play them back as weakness, as disease, as discomfort. But if the subconscious is filled with words of health, of strength, of divine perfection, then the body must obey those words as well. This is why Scripture says, "Let the weak say, I am strong." Not, "Let the weak sigh, I am weak." Not, Let the weak hope to be strong someday. But say, I am strong, because the body is listening and the word is law. I remember a student who came to me trembling with fear of illness. She had heard of a disease spreading in her city, and she began to repeat words of dread. She said to her friends, I know I will catch it. I always catch whatever is going around. She said to herself, I feel so weak. I feel so tired. It's only a matter of time. And as surely as the law never fails, she began to manifest the very symptoms she feared, not because the disease had power over her, but because her words had power over her body. She was playing a false record, and the body obeyed. But once she learned to smash that record and replace it with truth, once she declared, I am a perfect child of God, and every atom of my body is filled with life and strength. Once she said it not as hope, but as decree, her health returned. The fear dissolved, the symptoms vanished, and her body became the echo of her words of faith instead of her words of fear. Think about it. How many times have you said, this always makes me sick, or I get sick every winter, or my family has always had weak hearts, weak lungs, weak nerves? These are not idle words. They are false records, grooves being cut into the subconscious, and the body has no choice but to play them. But here is the mercy of the law. Just as easily as the false record was cut, it can be smashed. Just as easily as the body obeyed the lie, it can obey the truth. For divine life is the reality, and sickness is only the shadow. Speak life, and the shadow disappears. So let us declare it together, as law spoken into the very cells of the body. I now smash and demolish every untrue record of sickness in my subconscious mind. They return to the dust of nothingness, for they were never true. I now make new and perfect records of radiant health, endless energy, and divine strength. Every atom of my body vibrates with the life of spirit. Say it until you feel strength returning even as you speak. Say it until you feel the false grooves of weakness dissolve. Say it until you know that health is not something you must earn or wait for. It is your birthright, and it is already yours. Health is the natural state of the body. Sickness is only the echo of false belief. Change the belief, smash the record, inscribe the truth, and the body must obey. For the law is no respecter of persons, and it is no respecter of parts. Just as the law of prosperity governs money, the law of the word governs flesh. The body is as obedient to the word as the purse, as the home, as the affairs of love. And once you see this, you realize there is no limit, no exception, no condition beyond the reach of truth. And now that you have seen the law at work in money and in health, let us look at perhaps the most tender of all areas, love. For just as false records can chain the soul to poverty and sickness, they can also bind the heart to loneliness, disappointment, and wrong relationships. But just as one sentence can rewrite the record of money and health, so it can rewrite the record of love, calling into being the perfect companionship prepared for you by divine design. And that is where we go next. And now, beloved, we turn to the third area, where the false records have done more damage than perhaps any other, and that is love. For just as the careless word can carve grooves of lack into your money and sickness into your body, it can carve grooves of loneliness, disappointment, betrayal, and heartbreak into your relationships. And many of you know this well. You feel it in the ache of your heart, in the repetition of wrong partners, in the cycle of abandonment, in the frustration of longing. But hear me clearly. Love is not absent from your life because God has withheld it. Love is absent because a false record has drowned out the music of truth. The subconscious has been playing back the lies of unworthiness, the lies of fear, the lies of old wounds, and so you have attracted shadows instead of substance. But the moment you smash that record, the moment you replace it with truth, divine love rushes in, perfect companionship appears, and you find yourself standing in the right relationship, the one chosen by divine selection before the world began. I recall the story of a young woman who came to me in tears, clinging desperately to a man she believed she could not live without. Let us call him A.B. She said, "Florence, if I cannot have him, I will never be happy. I must have this man." But I knew he was not hers by divine right. He had no intention of marrying her, and her desperation was only deepening her sorrow. I told her what I tell you now: you must never cling to what is not yours. For when you clutch at the wrong, you block the right from appearing. When you grasp at shadows, you close your hand against substance. So I gave her this decree: if this man is mine by divine right, he is mine now. If he is not, then his perfect substitute now appears. She repeated it, though her heart trembled. She said it aloud, though her tears still fell. And in time, the man drifted away, and in his place came her true mate, the man who loved her, cherished her, married her, and gave her joy she had never known before. Later she confessed, "If I had married A.B., I would have been miserable. He was not mine. My true partner could not appear until I released him." Do you see? This is the power of smashing the false record. Her subconscious had been playing the groove of desperation, the groove of clinging, the groove of fear. But the new sentence broke it, erased it, replaced it with a new melody of trust in divine selection. And the new melody drew the right man into her life. This is how the law works. What is yours by divine right cannot be taken from you. What is not yours will dissolve, no matter how tightly you clutch it. And when you trust this, when you speak it, when you decree it, love itself cannot fail you. Think of how many people repeat the false records of love. No one ever loves me. I always get abandoned. All the good ones are taken. I will end up alone. These words are grooves, cutting deep, playing over and over until life obeys them. But these are not truth. They are lies. They are false records, and they can be smashed. You can lift the needle. You can erase the groove. You can write a new record that plays only of love, of joy, of companionship, of harmony. So let us declare it together now, as a decree that smashes the false record of loneliness. I now smash and demolish every false record of sorrow and rejection in my subconscious mind. They return to the dust of nothingness, for they were never true. I now make new and perfect records of divine love, perfect companionship, and perfect joy. My right mate, my right friends, my right relationships appear now, under grace, in perfect ways. Say it until you feel the ache soften. Say it until the bitterness lifts. Say it until you sense the melody of love beginning to play in your heart again. This is the third proof of the sentence in action. Just as it rewrites your money and your health, so it rewrites your love. For love is not the gift of man, but the law of God. It cannot be withheld. It cannot be delayed. It cannot be denied. When you smash the false record and inscribe the new one, love is yours by right. Companionship is yours by right. Joy is yours by right. And once you believe this, you will see it unfold. And now that you have seen the sentence in action in money, in health, and in love, you are ready to learn how to use it every day, how to make it your constant record until it becomes the only song your subconscious plays. And that is where we will go next. Now that you have seen how this one sentence works in money, in health, and in love, you must now learn the greatest secret of all: consistency. Because it is not enough to speak the decree once in desperation and then forget it. It is not enough to cry it out in a moment of crisis and then go back to rehearsing the false records. You must make it your daily practice. You must cut the new groove so deep into your subconscious that it becomes the only song it knows how to play. And the way you do this is by speaking it morning and night, as faithfully as breathing, until the new record becomes automatic. Consider how most people begin their day. The alarm rings, and their first words are words of complaint. I'm so tired. I don't want to get up. This day will be hard. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. They begin the morning by replaying the false record, and then they wonder why the day follows the same dreary tune. And at night, as they lie down to sleep, their last words are just as destructive. I'm worried about tomorrow. I don't know how I'll make it. Things never change. They fall asleep on the groove of fear, and their subconscious plays it through the night. Is it any wonder that their life seems stuck on repeat? But you, beloved, can break this cycle. You can change the soundtrack of your days and nights. Begin each morning not with complaint, but with decree. Before your feet touch the ground, speak the sentence: I now smash and demolish every untrue record in my subconscious mind. They return to the dust of nothingness, for they were never true. I now make new and perfect records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. Say it with your eyes still closed, say it with the rhythm of law, and let it set the tone for the whole day. Then rise and live as though it were already true, because it is. And when night falls, do the same. Do not let the last words you speak be words of fear. Do not let your subconscious drift into sleep with the false record still spinning. Before you close your eyes, speak the decree again. Say, I now smash and demolish every untrue record. I now make new and perfect records. Let these words be the lullaby of your soul, because the subconscious is most impressionable when you are on the edge of sleep. The grooves cut deepest when the reasoning mind is quiet. Whatever you speak in that sacred hour before sleep becomes the record that plays through the night, replaying itself in the silence, writing itself into the fabric of your being. This is why I say, do not speak it once and forget it. Speak it daily. Speak it until it becomes the rhythm of your life. Speak it until you no longer have to remind yourself, until it rises naturally, automatically, from your lips. That is when you will know the new record has taken hold. When even in casual conversation, even in passing thought, you hear yourself affirming truth instead of fear, prosperity instead of lack, health instead of sickness, love instead of loneliness. So let us decree it together now as a vow of practice. This sentence is my daily record. I speak it in the morning and I speak it at night. It cuts deep grooves of truth into my subconscious, and those grooves play health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression until it is all I see and all I know. Speak it aloud and commit yourself. For the difference between a fleeting affirmation and a lasting transformation is this: daily practice. And now that you see how this decree must be spoken morning and night, we must go deeper still, for there is a reason why words spoken at night hold such power, why the hours of sleep are the most fertile ground for reprogramming the subconscious, and that is where we will go next. Now that you see the importance of speaking this decree morning and night, let us dwell more deeply upon the mystery of the night. For the night is not empty. It is the richest soil of the subconscious. Whatever seed is planted there will sprout swiftly, for the reasoning mind sleeps, the guard at the gate is silent, and the subconscious receives impressions without argument. This is why so many wake up weary, burdened, anxious before the day even begins, because they fell asleep rehearsing the false record. They lay in bed turning over their worries, whispering their fears, speaking about bills, about illness, about loneliness, and then they wonder why the morning greets them with heaviness. It is because the subconscious was left to play those false grooves all night long, weaving them into the fabric of being, engraving them deeper with every sleeping hour. But here is the mercy of the law. Just as the subconscious can be filled with fear at night, it can be filled with faith. Just as it can play false records in the silence, it can play true ones. And when you speak the right words before you fall asleep, when you give the subconscious its decree, it works for you while you rest, shaping, ordering, drawing to you the good you have declared. You rise in the morning to find the ground prepared, the way opened, the channels flowing, not because you struggled, but because your subconscious worked all night to obey the word you spoke. I tell you this, the hour before sleep is the most important hour of your day. Do not waste it in worry. Do not surrender it to the false record. Guard it as sacred. Fill it with decree. For what you speak then is magnified, multiplied, engraved in letters of fire upon the subconscious. Say the sentence before you close your eyes. I now smash and demolish every untrue record in my subconscious mind. They return to the dust of nothingness, for they were never true. I now make new and perfect records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. Say it softly, say it slowly, let it sink into you like a lullaby. Then drift into sleep with those words echoing in the chambers of your soul, and know that all through the night, your subconscious is replaying them, etching them deeper, making them the only melody it knows. I once counseled a woman who was plagued with nightmares, constant dreams of poverty, of sickness, of misfortune. She woke each morning more fearful than before, and she said, "Florence, what is wrong with me? I affirm by day, but at night I am tormented." I asked her, "What are your last words before you sleep?" She admitted that she often lay awake worrying about bills, rehearsing fears, replaying arguments. I told her, "You are programming your subconscious with fear as you drift off. It simply obeys." I gave her the sentence and told her to speak it each night, faithfully, before closing her eyes. Within a week, the nightmares ceased. She began to dream of harmony, of abundance, of peace. And her waking life began to shift as well, because the grooves of fear were being replaced by grooves of truth. So I say to you now, treat the hour before sleep as sacred ground. Never let a false record be the last thing your subconscious hears. Always close the day with decree, so that the music playing in the silence is the music of truth. And you will find that your mornings grow lighter, your days flow easier, and your demonstrations arrive faster because you have used the night wisely. Say it with me now, as a vow of nighttime practice. As I close my eyes, I speak truth. My subconscious plays only the record of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression all through the night. I rise in the morning refreshed, reprogrammed, and ready for demonstration. Say it until you feel the peace of it, until you sense your subconscious bowing to the command, until you know that even in sleep, you are mastering the law. This is the second movement of daily use, to impress the decree at night when the subconscious is most open, so that it plays only truth while you rest. And once you do this, the law will work for you in ways beyond reason, in ways you could never arrange, because spirit moves in the silence as surely as in the speech. And now we must look at the final movement of daily practice, the art of instant obedience, when intuition joins with the decree and leads you to act upon it. For the word spoken is powerful, but the word obeyed is unstoppable. And that is where we go next. And now, beloved, we arrive at the final movement of daily practice, the part that seals the decree and sets it into motion with unstoppable force, instant obedience. For it is one thing to speak the sentence, to smash the old record and inscribe the new. It is another thing to repeat it morning and night until the grooves are deep. But if you speak the word and then ignore the inner nudge, if you declare truth and then disobey the still small voice that rises within you, you choke the very demonstration you are calling forth. Because the word once spoken is answered, and the answer comes as intuition, as guidance, as a gentle whisper of what to do next. And your part is simple. Obey it, without delay, without argument, without resistance. Most people falter here. They affirm prosperity, but when intuition nudges them to act, to step, to prepare, they hesitate. They wait for perfect clarity. They demand to know every detail. They argue with the voice of spirit until the moment passes, and then they say, "My affirmations didn't work." But the law did work. The answer was given, the channel was opened, the step was shown, but they refused to walk it. Beloved, do not miss your demonstration by disobedience. The decree smashes the old record and writes the new, but intuition is the phonograph needle that plays it into life. If you will not let it play, you will never hear the music. I think of the woman who longed for her right apartment in New York City at a time when housing was nearly impossible to secure. She had been affirming faithfully, "I am divinely led to my perfect home, under grace and in perfect ways." But she was still surrounded by appearances. Every friend told her it could not be done. Every agent said the market was closed. Yet one day she felt the quiet nudge to buy blankets. Blankets. Her reasoning mind scoffed. Why buy blankets when you have no home in which to place them? But her faith answered, "This is my step of obedience. This is my preparation." She bought the blankets in obedience to the inner voice. And soon after, her perfect apartment appeared, chosen for her out of hundreds of applicants. The blankets were the ditch she dug in the desert, and God filled it with water. Her decree had set the law in motion, but her obedience brought it into form. Do you see the pattern? Speak the word, then obey the voice. The decree is the seed, obedience is the watering. Without obedience, the seed lies dormant. With obedience, it grows into demonstration. That is why I say, you must learn to give instant obedience to the inner voice. Do not argue with it. Do not delay. Do not wait until the reasoning mind approves. The reasoning mind will never approve, for it is chained to appearances. But the Spirit knows the path, and it speaks in hunches, in whispers, in sudden knowing. Trust it. Follow it. Obey it instantly, and you will see miracles. So let us declare it now, as a vow of faith. I give instant obedience to the still small voice within me. I recognize its guidance, I trust its direction, I follow without hesitation, and I prosper in every step I take. Say it again until you feel the resolve settle in your heart. Say it until you know that the next nudge you feel, you will obey. Because once you align your speech with your action, once your decree and your obedience walk hand in hand, nothing in heaven or earth can stop your demonstration. This is the final movement of daily practice. Smash the false record, engrave the new, speak it morning and night, impress it upon the subconscious in sleep, and then obey the voice that rises in response. This is how the decree becomes not a line repeated, but a life lived. This is how the one sentence becomes the constant soundtrack of your being, until everything in your world plays back the melody of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. And now that you know how to use this sentence daily, we are ready for the final part of this journey. Seeing how quickly it demonstrates, how within 24 hours you can begin to see signs, synchronicities, and proofs that the law has been set in motion. We will look at the first day, at how to guard your words, and at how to expand the record until it covers every area of your life. That is where we shall go next. Now, beloved, we come to the part most people hunger for, the proof. For it is one thing to hear of the law in theory, one thing to admire it in principle, one thing to speak the words with your lips, but the soul cries out, "When shall I see it? How soon shall the change appear?" And I tell you with the same certainty with which I breathe, the change begins at once, and the signs begin to show within the first 24 hours. Because the moment you smash the false record, the old grooves are silenced, and the subconscious no longer has a script to play except the one you have just given it. And since the subconscious governs the body, the circumstances, the channels, the relationships, since it is the great engine driving your life, the shift is immediate. You may not see the full harvest in one day, but you will see the first shoots breaking through the soil, the first evidences that the word has been obeyed. I remember a student who was facing a lawsuit. She was terrified, convinced her whole future was at stake. Every appearance shouted doom. Every friend offered worry. Every thought told her she was lost. But I gave her the decree. I now smash and demolish every untrue record in my subconscious mind. They return to the dust of nothingness, for they were never true. I now make new and perfect records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. She spoke it with trembling, but she spoke it with faith. That very day, she began to feel a lightness, as though the burden had been lifted. And within 24 hours, the whole matter shifted. An unexpected channel opened, the lawsuit dissolved, and she was free. The false record had been fear of disaster, but the new record was harmony, and harmony was what she received. This is the pattern. First comes the inner sign, then comes the outer. You will feel a release, a calmness, a sense of peace where fear once reigned. That is the subconscious responding, the false grooves cracking, the new melody beginning to play. Then, as surely as day follows night, outer proofs will appear. You may receive a phone call you did not expect. You may stumble upon an opportunity you could not have arranged. You may notice a debt canceled, a gift given, a door opening. These are the 24-hour signs that the decree has been accepted. They may seem small at first, but they are evidence, undeniable proof that the law is already at work. And the wise soul does not despise small beginnings but blesses them, for the small proof today becomes the great demonstration tomorrow. I tell you, watch closely the first day after you speak this sentence with faith. Do not dismiss the signs. Do not explain them away as coincidence. There is no coincidence in divine law. There is only cause and effect, seed and harvest, word and demonstration. If you decree abundance and a stranger buys you a cup of coffee, that is your sign. If you decree love and a friend calls unexpectedly, that is your sign. If you decree health and you wake with fresh strength, that is your sign. Bless it. Give thanks for it. Declare, "This is the first fruit of my harvest, and more is on the way." And soon the trickle becomes a stream, the stream becomes a river, and the river becomes a flood. So let us affirm it together now as the law of 24-hour demonstration. I do not wait for years. I do not beg for months. I decree, and within 24 hours, I see signs of its fulfillment. Every decree I speak is answered swiftly, surely, abundantly. My word goes forth and returns quickly with proof. Say it with me until you believe it, until you expect it, until your eyes are wide open to the signs that appear. For they will appear, and when they do, you will know that the one sentence has done its work. This is the first movement of living the demonstration. To expect signs within the first day, to watch for them, to bless them, to recognize them as the outer evidence of the inner shift. And once you begin to see them, you will also understand the need to guard your words with greater care than ever before, for a single careless phrase can cancel the harvest as quickly as the decree began it. And that is where we will go next. Now that you know the first signs will appear within 24 hours, there is a solemn responsibility that falls upon you. You must guard your words. For just as surely as the decree sets the law in motion, a careless phrase can slow it, contradict it, even cancel it. Remember, the subconscious is no respecter of intention. It does not care whether you meant it or whether you were only joking. It records every word and obeys. And so, if you speak the sentence in the morning with faith, but in the afternoon sigh, "I'll never get ahead," or mutter, "I feel so sick," or complain, "Nothing ever changes for me," then you are cutting a new groove that runs against the decree, and the subconscious, faithful to both, will play them back together, producing confusion, delay, and half-demonstrations. This is why Florence warned that the tongue is the rudder of destiny. One careless joke can steer the whole ship onto the rocks. Let me give you a picture of this. A woman once came to me for counsel. She had been affirming prosperity for months, faithfully speaking her decrees, and yet her affairs did not seem to improve. When I listened closely, I heard her own words betray her. She would say, "God is my supply." But then in the next breath she would joke, "Knowing my luck, I'll end up broke anyway." She would affirm, "Large sums of money come to me quickly," and then sigh, "Well, I guess I'll never catch a break." Do you see? She was canceling her decree as quickly as she spoke it. Her words of faith and her words of fear were playing like two records at once, producing nothing but noise. I told her, "You must guard your words. Every sentence counts, every phrase matters. Speak only truth, and refuse to let false records re-enter your mind." When she obeyed, when she stopped contradicting herself, her prosperity came swiftly because the subconscious finally had only one record to play. Now, think of your own speech. How many times a day do you let negative phrases slip past your lips? How many times do you sigh, "I can't," or joke, "That's just my bad luck," or complain, "Why does this always happen to me?" Each one of those is a decree. Each one of those is a record. And if you allow them, they will tangle your demonstration. But if you guard your words, if you treat every sentence as sacred law, then your whole life will align with truth. This is why I say, be ruthless with your speech. Be vigilant. Stop yourself mid-sentence if you must. Replace every careless word with truth. If you find yourself saying, "I can't afford it," stop and say, "God is my unfailing supply." If you hear yourself mutter, "I feel so sick," stop and say, "I am filled with divine life." If you catch yourself saying, "No one ever loves me," stop and say, "I am surrounded by divine love and right companionship." Do not let a single false word linger in the air. Cancel it instantly with truth, and the record will remain unbroken. So let us affirm it together now as a vow of discipline. I guard my words as sacred law. I refuse to joke about lack, sickness, or sorrow. I refuse to speak appearances. Every word I speak builds my good. Every word I speak aligns with truth. My tongue is the pen of a ready writer, and it writes only health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. Say it aloud until you feel the weight of it. Say it until you sense the responsibility on your tongue. Say it until you know that every word carries power and you will no longer waste it on lies. This is the second movement of living the 24-hour demonstration. Once the decree is spoken, guard it fiercely. Do not contradict it. Do not cancel it. Do not undo your own harvest. Speak truth only, and the law will bring forth the demonstration quickly, without obstruction. And once you have learned to guard your words, you will also learn how to expand the record, how to take this one sentence and let it rewrite not just one area of your life, but every area, until health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression sing together as the only melody you hear. And that is where we will go next. And now, beloved, we come to the last movement of this demonstration, and it is here that the sentence reveals its full power. For up until now, you may have thought of it as a single tool for a single crisis, a way to call in money when the purse is empty, a way to restore health when the body falters, a way to heal love when the heart aches. But the law was never meant to be piecemeal, never meant to touch only one corner of your life while leaving the rest untouched. The decree is total. The record is whole. And once you have learned to smash the false grooves and inscribe the new, you may expand it until every area of your existence plays back the same perfect melody. For health without wealth is incomplete. Wealth without love is empty. Love without self-expression is frustration. But when all four, health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression, are recorded in your subconscious as law, your whole life rises into harmony, and you become, as Florence called it, a spiritual broadcasting station, sending out vibrations of truth that draw in every blessing. Consider it like this: your life is a great symphony. For years, perhaps for decades, the instruments have been out of tune, each playing its own false refrain. Your money sighing poverty, your body groaning sickness, your heart weeping loneliness, your spirit crying frustration. And because they were never in harmony, the music of your life was discordant. But the one sentence has the power to retune the entire orchestra. By smashing the false records and writing new ones, you are not fixing just one instrument, you are restoring the whole symphony. And when the orchestra of your life begins to play together in harmony, the sound is irresistible, magnetic, divine. This is what it means to expand the record, to no longer confine your decree to one area, but to speak it as the law of your entire being. You rise in the morning and say, "My record is only of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression." You walk through the day saying, "My record is health, my record is wealth, my record is love, my record is perfect expression." You fall asleep at night saying, "My record is truth only, and truth only is played in my life." And the subconscious, faithful and exact, begins to play that melody in every circumstance. Soon you find that doors open without effort, that strength rises without strain, that relationships blossom without searching, that your talents express themselves without fear. Everything begins to flow in the rhythm of truth, because the record you have written is the only one the subconscious has left to play. I recall a man who had struggled for years in his work, always feeling out of place, always straining to succeed, always missing his chance. He had money at times, but no health. He had opportunities at times, but no love. His life was a patchwork of half-demonstrations. But when he learned the sentence and began to apply it to every area of his life, everything shifted. He stopped limiting it to money or to health, and began to say, "I now smash every false record, and I now make new and perfect records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression." Within months, his health improved, he attracted the right partner, his work blossomed, and his finances multiplied. The symphony was tuned, the instruments aligned, and his whole life became harmonious. So let us speak it together now. As the great expansion, I smash every false record. I now make new and perfect records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. These are the only grooves cut in my subconscious. These are the only melodies my life plays. My whole being sings with harmony, abundance, joy, and divine success. Say it until you feel every part of your life vibrating in agreement. Say it until no corner is left untouched. Say it until you know that the decree has expanded to cover everything, and there is nothing left outside its law. This is the final movement of the 24-hour demonstration. Not only to expect signs on the first day, not only to guard your words carefully, but to expand the record until it governs every area of your life. Then the one sentence ceases to be an isolated tool and becomes the foundation of your whole existence. You are no longer a victim of false grooves. You are the master of your record. You are the conductor of your symphony. You are the speaker of the word that never fails. And now, having walked through every stage of this teaching, we are ready to close with a final affirmation that seals it all, a decree that sums up the whole truth and leaves you standing in the full authority of your spoken word. That is where we will go next. And now, beloved, we have come full circle. You began this journey with a single promise, that one sentence could transform everything in 24 hours. And now you have seen it, heard it, spoken it, and felt it in your own being. You know that words are not idle, they are law. You know that the subconscious is not selective. It records every syllable, every sigh, every joke, every decree, and it plays them back until they become the circumstances of your life. You know that false records of lack, of sickness, of loneliness, of failure have no power except the power you give them by repeating them. And you know that the one sentence has the power to smash those false grooves, to erase them, to return them to the dust of nothingness, and to inscribe in their place new and perfect records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. You have seen it work in money, you have seen it work in health, you have seen it work in love, and you have learned how to use it every day, morning and night, in the silence of sleep, and in the instant obedience to the inner voice. You have learned how to live a 24-hour demonstration, to expect signs within a single day, to guard your words with vigilance, and to expand the record until every area of your life sings with harmony. So let us seal this teaching together with the decree itself, spoken now not as a phrase we are learning, but as a law we are living. Speak it with me. I now smash and demolish every untrue record in my subconscious mind. They return to the dust of nothingness, for they were never true. I now make new and perfect records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. Say it again, letting every word fall into the silence like a seed into fertile soil. Say it until you feel the certainty of it, until you know there is no going back to the old record, until you sense the new music already playing in your life. For this is the only song your subconscious will now allow. This is the only melody your days will sing. This is the law, and the law cannot fail. And remember this, the shift has already begun. Do not wait for it. Do not beg for it. Do not question it. The decree has been spoken, and within 24 hours, you will see the signs. Bless them when they appear. Give thanks for them. Declare them as proof that the harvest is already here. Guard your words, hold your faith, expand the record, and let your life be the demonstration of truth itself. But before we part, I must leave you with a warning, for there is still one sentence more dangerous than fear, more destructive than lack, more insidious than any false record we have yet uncovered. It is a phrase that most people speak every day without realizing it, a phrase that cancels blessings, closes doors, and binds the soul in limitation. Until it is erased, no decree can fully flourish. In my next message, I will reveal this deadly phrase, and I will show you how to banish it forever, so that nothing stands in the way of your prosperity, your health, your love, your perfect self-expression. So click now and continue into the next revelation. For the law is already working, the record has already shifted, and your demonstration has already begun. Do not stop here. The greatest secret still awaits, and once it is yours, you will be free indeed.